Hey, look at this. Look at this, people. This is fantastic. This is our whole new World Cup strand here on Shine. We're going to do it every Monday and every Friday. These chairs are fantastic. This man is fantastic as well. He's Ian Irving, and he's going to guide us through what for me is a land of confusion, Ian,
indeed.
quite frankly. So 32 teams.
Yep.
Did I hear it 60 odd games?
A lot of games.
And it's 4 weeks starting from today.
This afternoon, yeah, exactly.
Who's the first match
the first match
this year?
Traditionally is the host, South Africa.
Okay.
They're playing Mexico today.
Okay.
So you'll have all the opening ceremony and all that sort of thing. I mean, the tournament really, I suppose, started last night. They had a concert on. Alicia Keys played, the Black Eyed Peas played.
That was a pretty massive thing, wasn't it? I don't know if you saw any of the news coverage of that, but you know, really big band. I mean, I guess if we were hosting it, we'd do exactly the same, wouldn't we?
Sure.
But you know, get as many international acts as you possibly can. Do you think the World Cup this year, it's kind of crept up on us a little bit late? Normally there's a bit more of a build-up. I suppose it depends on where you are in terms of your interest in sport. But I think there's a real enthusiasm for it this year, isn't there?
I think so. I think a lot of it is to do with the way that England have qualified. England have qualified fantastically well. They only dropped points in the final match, which is so unlike us, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And there is a sense that this time, I know we say it all the time, but this time we do actually have a decent chance. We've got one of the best players in the world up front in Wayne Rooney. Obviously players like Steven Gerrard, Frank Lampard, also fantastic footballers. But a manager in Fabio Capello that people have got faith in and a right to have faith in.
And not a man to be messed with either.
Well, no. If you saw him having a go at the photographers this week, I mean, it's been calmness personified since he took over as England boss. But
he's hardly said boo to a goose. Mind you, he's been learning the language, in fairness,
well, that's true,
as well, hasn't he? And now he's got the language.
I think he's learned some choice words.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah. I think he's using as many as he can. Do you think as well, though, part of our enthusiasm for the World Cup this year is, you know, it's been very doom and gloom. We've had the economic situation. We've had a lot of reasons to kind of think, oh, for heaven's sake, is there anything good going on out there? Do you know what I mean? And I think we don't often look to sport as our kind of focus.
It's not always something that makes us happy because we don't normally win that many things, I suppose. But
no, this is true.
Something to do with the World Cup. It is a one big party. It's a carnival. It's a celebration of different cultures. It's so many different cultures coming together, brought together by football. And I do think it's a time where everyone does get a little bit excited. I know we've said that perhaps not everyone's as focused in on the World Cup as other people.
No, but I have to say, I mean, I'm a lot older than you, Ian, as we found out earlier, but a lot older than everybody, Amy would say. But I don't remember a World Cup before where so many people are visibly showing their support. I mean, loads and loads of front windows this time. You know, the car flags, that's the easy thing. You can pick those up at petrol stations and all over the place, and people kind of roll along with that. But the amount of people who've got their flags in their windows, in their workplaces, and everything really galvanising support this year.
And isn't it fantastic to see?
It is great, actually.
I think so,
really
personally. Because there is a lot of sort of negative press associated with, of course, with nationalism and the social problems that we've had. But something like a World Cup, surely this is a time where everyone can just say, you know what, forget about all that. Let's just focus on supporting our country and seeing them doing as well as they can in what is obviously the biggest tournament in the world. And what better way to galvanise a nation than England doing well at the World Cup?
Definitely, would certainly be a great thing for us. Can I just ask you a really stupid question? This is the World Cup.
It is the World Cup.
Okay. See, this is how far my World Cup knowledge goes. Now, at the end of the World Cup tournament, I'll know everything there is to know, and then that information.
Just out of interest, what did you think it was?
I don't know. In all honesty, I don't know. Now, is that made of gold? Do we know what this is made of?
I would imagine so, yeah. Obviously, it's the biggest prize in football, so I'd imagine there would be no expense spared whatsoever when making it. There used to be a different trophy that England won in '66 called the Jules Rimet Trophy, but that was kept by Brazil after they won it. I think it's 5 times you get to keep it. So this next one was made, and it's a beautiful trophy, and let's hope Steven Gerrard's hands are around it come mid-July.
It would be good, and we are still, my little crumb of information, we haven't won it, have we, since No, since 66.
Only won it the once. Yeah,
and you've got the replica of the ball.
Indeed.
From '66.
That shows you how long ago it was. The footballs actually look like that. So
it does look pretty ancient, doesn't it? Actually, that's a replica of it, but you couldn't imagine that being kicked around a park these days, could you?
No.
What has changed fundamentally about the ball over the years?
Because the technology.
Right.
It's unbelievable now. You have technicians, scientists working on making new balls and things like that. I can't imagine there was a group, I think it's Loughborough University, their Adidas balls that they're playing with at the World Cup. I think they have a lab there that work on it, and they look at the science into how the ball moves and what's the best shape to make it. They're not just simply round nowadays, there's all different ways that they do it. They're split into quarters, and the different quarters, different sizes, and it's just an unbelievable science. They're a lot lighter, of course, as well, and they'll be resistant to water, whereas I'm sure
is that a big advantage to a player?
Depends.
The fact that they are.
If you're a striker, you'd say yes, because the ball moves so many different ways. If you're a goalkeeper, you'd probably say no.
It's not so good, is it? Because it's coming at you faster, I guess.
Faster, and it dips and it bends, and there's a lot more movement in the balls, and that's the way that they make them now.
I'm going to ask you a really stupid question now. I'm probably going to ask you quite a few stupid questions over the next few weeks, but there are questions I'm sure that come to people's minds. Have the goalposts in football generally, let's not talk about necessarily the World Cup, but have the goalposts changed in size over the years at all? They've always been the same.
Yeah.
Because it used to be the case, or I'm sure remembering back, it used to be the case that goalies didn't struggle as much as they do now. Is it just that the players and the balls are getting quicker?
Yeah.
That literally you have to make such a quick split-second decision, don't you?
And I think a lot of it is because of the intense coverage that's on it now, I think, as well. People made mistakes before, and I don't think there was as much made of it. Goalkeepers, I suppose, have always made mistakes. However, now it's focused on so much more, because you've got 20 cameras at a match that can see it at every different angle and analyse every minute detail as to what someone's done wrong.
Is that one of the safest jobs in football, do you think, a goalie? A good goalie seems to stay forever and ever and ever.
It can be, but I think it's the easiest one to lose as well, because obviously your mistake is amplified massively, because you're the one that's in between the ball going in the back of the net, which obviously decides matches. A striker who misses chances, a missed chance probably isn't seen as costly a mistake. It sometimes can be, but not generally speaking as a goalkeeper's mistake, because one mistake by a goalkeeper, you conceded a goal. One mistake by a striker, he'll always get another chance to score.
Now, you've interviewed players and teams before, I know. Do they get a harder time in the team, a goalie? Because, like you say, it is crucial, isn't it? That's where the biggest disappointment is focused if you lose, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, privately, I imagine that a lot more is said than perhaps is said publicly.
Yeah.
Usually, teams will come together and close ranks if someone's made a mistake, choose not to blame them, and just get on with it, really. But I'm sure privately there are different words said. And of course with England there's a massive focus on the goalkeeper this time, because we've got 3 keepers who at this point no one's really sure who it's going to be. We've got Joe Hart, David James and Robert Green, who there isn't really a standout candidate to be our number one. David James has been handed the number 1 shirt in terms of squad numbers. However, he's played for a Portsmouth side who've really struggled in the Premier League this year, relegated with one of the lowest totals. And I think that we've got Joe Hart, who's obviously a Manchester City goalkeeper, who was on loan at Birmingham, who had a fantastic season, but he's not got as much experience. David James has been to World Cups before. I think personally that James will get the nod, but this time there is quite a lot of focus on the goalkeeper, because no one's really sure whether they're going to be first choice, second choice or third choice.
Well, that's the thing about the team that we're sending this year, is the fact that in previous World Cups, you could almost write it on the back of a fag packet, couldn't you?
Yeah.
You knew who was going to be going.
Yeah.
It was a dead cert. Where that doesn't seem quite so sure this time around. It seems to be that Fabio's really worked, because he's come in from completely outside almost, hasn't he? He's taken to one side the personality side of football, and he is looking at pure ability in these guys, isn't he?
It's something he has talked about, and I don't think it's just England that's been the case this time. Of course, I think our probably biggest omission was Theo Walcott, Arsenal forward, who many expected to be even named in the starting lineup perhaps, let alone missing out in the squad. He of course went to Germany as a real rookie that Sven-Göran Eriksson picked last time round. But there are players like Ronaldinho, massive star for AC Milan and Brazil, who've been left out of their squad. Karim Benzema, who plays for Real Madrid, has been left out of the French squad. And players of this size that are actually being left out, of the whole squad. Players who could easily be in anyone's starting 11 in the world and aren't even going to be at the tournament. I think managers are looking at things. Dunga, the Brazil coach, obviously Brazil are world famous for the brand of football that they play, but he's shaking it up massively. Brazil aren't the side that they've been in the past. We're talking about things like words like efficient and hard working and graft, which you don't really ever associate with Brazil sides, but that's what he's brought. He's brought steel in midfield, a strong defence, probably the strongest Brazilian defence has ever been. And there's not as much focus on the flair players going forward and so on. So I think in that sense, I think managers are looking at situations and thinking, well, hang on a minute, all right, I might be able to pick the best 23 Brazilian players or the best 23 English players, but let's pick the players who are going to make the most effective team who can win games at this tournament, because that's what it's all about at the end of the day.
Do you think